Welcome back, my friends. This is my second video of two on my preview walk around for the Manor Park Classics 7th of December sale. If you see anything in this video that you like, please do register to bid. Do like and subscribe. Do follow us on social media. All of the cars I'm going to show you now are going through for sale, for auction on the 7th of December. So have a look. If you haven't seen video number one, do look in the playlist below. You should find that one. There's some gems in there. Really nice sale. December's a great month to treat yourself to a car. So buy an early Christmas present for you, a loved one, or just have some fun. Winter's a great time to buy classics. Generally, the prices are a little bit less because people aren't using them as much. So these are the times to buy. Right, let's start with this. I am an unashamed fan of the MG RV8. To me, it took what is a brilliant car, the MGB Roadster, and just pumped it up. You know what, I like anything with a body kit, so you get these lovely factory wide arches, the integrated lights, the cooler bumpers, a big fat V8, and I think one of the coolest colours they ever did. This one's only done 25,000 miles from new. It's a 1994 car. It's got original spec, fully operational roof, new Continental tyres. It's got the tonneau with it as well. It's just had a water pump and a full service only 3,000 miles ago, and a new RV8 radiator. Again, these cars, because MGBs aren't very expensive. The standard MGB, we'll see a few in a minute, don't cost huge amounts of money, but these were very rare, very collectible cars, and you don't see that many of them. You don't see them in a nice condition. The wheels on this one are particularly good, the factory split rims. We've estimated this at 18 to 20. You could argue an MGB is a common car, but an MG RV8, not so common. I think definitely, fast forward 10, 20 years, I think we'll all wish you had one of those. Love that. Talking of cars, we're going the other way, this way. The staple of the classic car world, the Morris Minor Traveller. What can you say about this car that hasn't already been said? Lovely colour combination, nice patinated paint, not perfect paint on this by any stretch of the imagination. A few little bits of pitting, a few chips, but what a presentable car. How it looks on camera is how it is in real life. The wood is very good on this. It's got, like they all do, just tiny little blisters, look. If you look down there, nothing that would upset you or worry you. If you can garage this, it will probably stay like this for the next 15 years. Always look, this wood looks very recent, I have to say. I don't think that's been on more than about 10 or 15 years. So lovely wood on this, 1966, original condition. It's done 62,000 miles, subject to recent service and brakes. It says never restored. If that's the original wood, I am flabbergasted. If that's unrestored wood, that's the best I've ever seen. I would say that's had a wood change on that, and all the better for it. So that's a good car. Again, these aren't worth huge amounts, but probably one of the most practical, usable classics. You've got room for the kids in the back, look. You've got room for your picnic hamper and the dog. If you want a car that you can drive all throughout the summer, you can get bits for same day or tomorrow. Morris Minors are amazing. The club's brilliant. The spares backup's brilliant. There's such a usable car. If you're looking at this video thinking, I'd like to get a classic car, what should I get that's easy to live with, easy to use? Moggy Traveller. Have a look at that. 7.5 to 8.5 grand. We're going this way, Elliot says. Come with me. Now this is pure project. Please don't bid on this thinking I'll drive that away. I'm not sure it'll drive to the end of the showroom, to be fair. This is a 78 Volkswagen Scirocco GLS, the original one. These are becoming very sought after now because they're such a pure shape. Obviously the Mark II I love, but the Mark I's just that little bit slimmer and more svelte. It's got 32,000 miles and it's one family owned from new, so we know that's genuine. It's been on Anglesey for 20 odd years, as you can tell. In that time it's been in a barn for a long time. So it's going to need a lot of bodywork. Don't underestimate the amount of restoration this car will need. Every panel is going to need some degree of welding or panel work. The whole thing's going to need painting. You need to strip this and put it back together. And for that reason it's a no reserve car, because we know you're going to have to do some work. Let's have a look inside. The good news is, team, look at that. So yes, you're going to have to spend a lot of money on bodywork, but apart from a bit of cleaning, I don't think you'll have to do much on the interior at all. It's a totally original, superb interior. It was a daily driver when it was put away in 1987. So that's sat in a barn since 1987. Really ripe for a resto. And if you look at this rust, it's significant. There's a bit of bird poo there as well. But it's not totally structured. It's gone through a bit there. You're going to have to be putting panels in a lot of this car, but it's no reserve. That is literally on sale from the first bid. If you want a lovely winter project to get your teeth into, there's a few 100,000 hours in there, but you'll have a lovely, low mileage, perfect mint interior, Mark I Scirocco at the end. Another car we always talk about, Jim, our gaffer here, he always likes to talk about these being the next big thing, the Jaguar XK8. Because look at them, just look at the ingredients you've got. You've got a curvaceous Jaguar coupe, like an E-Type, Some would say more handsome than an XJS. 90s usability, so this is a car again you can drive throughout the year. It's not a car that you have to have just for high days and weekends. This one's got a rather huge dent on the bonnet, so you're going to get your dent man on there, and there's a rusty chip. So bear that in mind. You're probably going to want to paint that bonnet. Give yourself some budget for that. It's had the bumper painted, but quite well. Silver's a difficult colour to match. There's a tiny mismatch there, but the car is actually really level. Locally supplied and owned, good service history, lovely colour combination. It's got the sort of the parchment leather. I don't know if you can see that, L. Look at that. And it's an original factory spec, just completely unmessed about with. And these do drive really well, that's the thing. They are a very pretty car. You need maybe to get a door trim. It's got a little bit of corrosion on the door trim there. So paint the bonnet. I'd repaint the front bumper, make it a better match. Get your door trims done. Beautiful. And at no reserve, could be a bargain of the sale. I like that very much. Now, excuse the one that this is in, we're having a bit of a sort out day today. So this is a 1984 Austin Mini Mayfair. Very pretty colour, this one, done 62,000. It's a manual. It's got a nice roof in it as well. Original spec, pop-up roof. It's just had comprehensive restoration by Cheshire Mini Restorations with new front and rear brakes, new suspension, engine completely stripped down, sunframe cleaned and powder coated, and new wheels and tyres. So come and have a look, Al, it's nice. Have a look inside. Interior is lovely, actually. So it's got an unleaded cylinder head, which is really good to have. It's the manual. It's got new mini lights on and Yokohama. Someone has spent a lot of money on this. The paint is exceptional. They've done a good job. Chrome arches, you know, might be your thing, might not be. If it was mine, I think I would probably put on some painted or black arches on that, and the car would look absolutely stupendous. But you can have the benefit of somebody spending a huge amount of money on this, and we've got this estimated at £5,000 to £6,000. So you're not going to spend what the previous owner did, but you're going to have a very lovely Mini, 62,000 miles, and subject to a lot of money being spent. This is pretty, isn't it? Little Midget, little 73 Midget, same age as me. You could argue this is wearing considerably better. What I like about this, Elliot, come and have a look. It's got Dunlop S1 replica wheels on, one of my favourite wheels. Everyone thinks they're Cosmics, but they're not. They're Dunlop D1s. Very cool wheel, very period wheel for this car. 73, 1275 engines to 93,000 miles. It's a manual car, as you can see. Lovely interior, just really nice on the body, and a chrome bumper model. The thing about Midgets is, as the name does not suggest, they've actually got huge amounts of legroom inside. I can actually fit in a Midget just. It's a bit of a squeeze. So even if you are a larger lady or gentleman, don't discount these. What's great about this, it's got a bit of micro blistering here. You can see the bumpers are good but not perfect. The bodywork is very straight. The wheels and tyres are particularly pleasant, as we've said. But this car's no reserve. So, you know, again, winter project. MGs are the easiest car in the world to get bits for, even easier probably than a Morris Minor. Go to MGOC Spares, they'll get you everything next day. You can do the world to this car, and it's all available in one click and 24 hours delivery. So great fun classic, huge amount of giggles for the summer and no reserve. You could buy that for a few grand and my word, you'd have some fun. Now this is a repeat in. I cannot understand why this car did not go. This has everything going for it. So it's an XJ Sport. You might have seen Richard Hammond has recently done a really good drivetrain video. He has bought his old XJ Sport back. What makes this one particularly special, again, come and look through the window, Elliot. It's a manual. They didn't really make many or any manuals. There's so few. This one's only done 44,000 miles. 3 former keepers. The correct alloy wheels with the P6000s on, just had new clutch, major service and an alternator. And I think, let's have a look. Yeah, it's had the headliner done as well, because on these old X300s, X308s, the headliner always drops. So the first thing you look for when you look underneath is that. The sills are very good on this car as well. But despite all of that, despite the rarity, despite the fact it's the best colour, 6.5 to 7.5 grand for a manual, supercharged, rare Jaguar. And if you look, so I see that Alex Kirsten, he's just bought one of these for his channel. Richard Hammond's bought one. So all the notable YouTubers are suddenly buying X300 shaped Jaguars. Something in that, I think. They obviously know that something's coming. And on we go to this cute little Rover Mini Mayfair. This is lovely, isn't it? Late car, 1993, automatic transmission. So this is almost the perfect city car, isn't it? If you're thinking about buying a little car just for chugging around the city, this is it. 55,000 miles. 2 former keepers. It's had some recommissioning work in 2019 to 22, so 1,600 quid's been spent, including a head gasket, new exhaust system, new water pump, new thermostat. And it's got all its toolkit and jack. It's just nice. It's had a bit of paint. Bonnet's been painted. Looking at that. Just starting to go around the bottom of the screen. But really good in a lot of places where they do go. Always check the gutters on the Mini. They're smashing. Really good. Yeah. And all the seams and gutters are great, actually. So that's obviously had an easy, cherished life. I'd imagine looking at it, spent a lot of time in the garage. That's estimated at 4.5 to 5.5. I think, again, Minis are so cheap, aren't they? Because they're relatively plentiful. You can always go to a classic car auction and find a Mini. But I guarantee 5, 6, 7 years, that won't be the case. And all of these 5, 6 grand Minis will be 10, 11 grand Minis. Buy one now. The Mazda, the venerable, perennial Mazda MX-5. This is nice, 1.8, 1998, so it's quite a late example of an NB. 130,000 miles, great colour combination, lovely spec actually. A little bit of patination on the seat. The seat leather's needing a bit of love if you look at that. Loads of invoices and receipts, but not complete service history. But again, you know, like the MG Midget, like the Mini, what a ridiculous amount of fun this could be. You're not going to spend a lot to buy this car. This is a no reserve car, so this is on sale from the first bid. And it's not perfect, but it is very tidy, very presentable. A car you can have a lot of fun with while you make it better. And in the meantime, you're cruising around in the MX-5, best manual gear change of any car at any price. One of the most fun things you can drive at any price, and that's a no reserve car. So register, have a bid on that, get yourself ready for the summer. Now this I love deeply, and this has come from a private collection. This is a really nice car. When you buy these X350s, they fall into two camps. They fall into the tired ones that haven't been looked after, that they're an inexpensive car in some cases. If they've done high mileage, if they're not looked after, they're a few £1,000s. Then you get the other end of the scale, owned by a family, owned by an old boy that's just cosseted, used on a Sunday, lives in an air-conditioned garage. I'm very pleased to say this is the latter, and everywhere you look, the wheels, the paintwork, the edges, the trim, the interior, the more you look, the more beautiful this car is. It's really very hard to fault. It's also only done 33,000 miles, this car. So it's a V6 SE. I really like the X350. My favourite shape is the X300. I do think when they did this, this is the all aluminium, don't forget this one. So they're a very clever bit of engineering. A lot of money and technology went into this car. Very, very cool development of the previous model. But what a thing. It's pretty much, I'm struggling to fault this car. Like the odd stone chip. And that's about it. Because of that, it's higher for one of these, but still a bargain, 3.5 to 4.5. I've seen these go retail for 10. And I've seen these retail at 10 with more than 33,000 miles on. So have a think about that if you are wanting to waft in unassailable luxury. That's very much that. It's got a Ronin vibe coming from this. E34s are unspeakably cool. I think we all know that. The coolest E34 is, of course, the M5. They are now ridiculous amounts of money. I think we've all missed the boat there. But what's the next best thing to an E34 M5? A 535 manual. So this is basically poor man's M5. 535 manual, 137,000 miles. Very, very rare. I can't tell you how rare with a manual. I don't know how many are for sale in the UK. I would imagine it's probably this one at the moment. Part of a private collection. A set of decent Kumo tyres on it as well. The interior is very nice. It's velour. I mean, talk about a sleeper. Look at this. Come and have a look at this. It's just kind of boggo basic spec inside. But then you've got that incredible 535 motor and a manual gearbox. You can just see, look, a few bits to do on the trims. These will all want just redoing. A few little details. But ladies and gents, we're talking £3,500 to £4,500 estimate on this car. Now do yourselves a favour, Google what E34 M5s are fetching at the moment. This isn't that much slower. It's much easier to live with, much cheaper to repair. You know, you're talking probably 80% of the fun for maybe 20% of the price, maybe 10% of the price. What a fun car. Have a bit on that, that's awesome. Love that. Another car that I think is getting much better with age is this. When I first saw these, when they came out in 2002, 2001, I wasn't that taken with them, but don't you think this car, the SC430, has just got so much nicer looking with age? It's kind of grown into itself. This one is a higher mileage, but it's a Lexus V8. It will go on forever. It's 132,000 miles. It's got a full service history, and most of that's with the Lexus main dealer. If you have a look inside, leather's worn very well. Tiny bit of extra wear on the driver's seat, but nothing's gone through. I'm sure a good clean and a feed would have that looking really nice in no time. Supplied and serviced by the same Lexus dealer for most of its life. Great colour combinations as well. And these are becoming very rare. I've noticed now some of the more switched on Japanese importers are starting to bring these over, the JDM versions. This is a UK car, has been here its whole life. But it won't be a lot of money. You get a Lexus V8. This one's got a slightly naughty exhaust on it as well, a little bit fruitier than the standard car. So it gives you all the Lexus burbles, one of the loveliest V8s, smoothest, quietest V8s. That's somewhere we reckon between 3 and 5 grand. Foldable hardtop. I don't think you could cruise more elegantly, more reliably for less money than with that car. So I love that very much. Could be a lovely little summer smoker for you next year. The nice thing is you can drive it in the winter as well. This is cool, isn't it? Look at this. Another 73 car. My word. A 73 Toyota Celica ST1600. This is when Japan was basically looking at what America was doing and building little American cars. If you come and look at the front 3 quarters of this, Elliot, you can see elements of all sorts in here. A lot of sort of baby Camaro, a little bit of Mux. You can see here, a little bit of Dodge rear end there. It's a fantastic period of Japanese car design because they were just doing whatever the Americans were doing, but smaller. I mean, look at the detailing on that handle. Look at that, look. Look at that. It's fabulous. And of course, the quality is insane. So this is not perfect, but certainly very presentable. So this is 40,000 kilometres, original Belgian car, this one. It's Nova registered, so it's all the paperwork's in place. It's got the original radio, it's got the original mag wheels, which are very cool. I think they're ATS, I would guess, looking at those. And we think it's had one owner from new in Belgium. We don't know that, but the paperwork certainly suggests that. And it's got its original Belgian registration, book pack, and the original wallet. So that is ready to go. That needs registering, but it's got all the paperwork to register. Now we're estimating that at 8 to 12. And again, do yourself a favour, have a look around. Top end of this market's 30 to 35, so there's obviously work to do. You can see you've got a little bit of crazing and cracking on the paint here. Vinyl roof's in very good nick. There's a bit of money to spend on the interior, but you could spend, I don't know, 3-4 grand on this and have a really very presentable car, and it will owe you 16 grand. I'd have a bid on that. Here's me. Everyone knows I love Subarus. I have many Subarus. The Subaru Hatch, I think, is a really interesting car because it came out, they never officially rallied this. ProDrive did a little bit of a design study, but the reason why this car kind of was never known to be as famous as all the cars that went before is that Subaru UK and ProDrive never rallied this shape officially. They did one demo car, and it never came to anything. But they're kind of an underrated car because of that, and they're also an undervalued car because of that. If you look at the prices of GC8 Imprezas and GD Imprezas, a good GC8 can be as much as 25, 30 grand now. A 22B is obviously house money. So these are still the undiscovered gem. This one's done 107,000 miles with a comprehensive service history. Main dealer up to 2016. It's just had a timing belt, water pump, clutch, batteries, brakes. So money's been spent. It's got Dunlops all round. It's not been run on a shoestring. That's the thing with Subarus. Get a well-serviced one, they're great. Get one that's been run on a shoestring, that's the problem. This one has had all the money spent. It's probably in the best colour, same colour as the CS400 Cosworth. But have a look inside. You get your lovely Recaro seats, if you can see that, L. And it's just a nice car. This is 9 to 11 grand. And think about that price against, you know, what a Focus RS is. And these are a 280 horsepower car with so much scope for tuning. You can easily make these with a simple remap 330. They're phenomenal. I've got the saloon version of this. It's a brilliant car. It's a brilliant car in standard trim. Spend a bit of money tuning it. It's phenomenal. So 9 to 11 grand. What a winter tool that would be. You can go anywhere with that. Permanent symmetrical all-wheel drive. And that's a really nice paint on that as well. Really lovely car. This is great, this. So 1981 MGB Roadster. So you'll notice straight away from 81 it's had a back date. These are not the 81 bumpers. This would have been the rubber bumper car. So somebody I think is quite tastefully and quite sensibly backdated this to the earlier look. So you've got the benefit of the later car, but with the earlier look. But the best thing about this, it's got a 3.9 V8 in it. So it's not only an MGB Roadster, it's got a really well engineered conversion to V8 with a bigger engine. Some 45,000 miles. It's a manual, of course. It's been with the previous owner a long time, long time. Very tidy, loads of history, and it's valued by his insurer. It's got an agreed insurance value of 20 grand, this car, because of the work that's been done and the quality it's been done to. But estimated for you, my dear friends, 10 to 12. So another great example of, you're buying a car, the sum of all that work is way more than you'll end up paying. And this is why it's so good to buy cars like this from a classic car auction, because you do get a bargain. You could not build this car for less than 20, 25 grand, not to the standard it's been done to. Yours for 10 to 12, even some spares in the boot as well. You've got tonneau, spares, spare head, all sorts of good stuff in there. Love it. Now, Japanese cars. I think you know my love for a good Japanese car. Isn't this awesome? This is kind of almost granddad spec, 97 Honda Accord 2.2 ES Coupe. Just when did you see one? You didn't really see that many in period, did you? This one's done 39,000 miles, which we are sure is correct. Again, lovely spec, really beautiful sort of 90s metallic jade green. Fabulous, that Japanese leather that's just almost so over-processed, but looks still so fresh. Serviced by the supplying dealer its entire life. This was bought from a Honda UK dealer. It's never been anywhere else. All it's known is the love of a main dealer. 23 stamps in the service book. It's pretty much, it's too nice to be a festival of the unexceptional car because it's a coupe. It's probably too cool, it's too high up the tree, but you know, sort of ordinary concours, unusual cars. I love stuff like this because you'll go to a car show, I guarantee there won't be another one there, and if there is, it won't be as nice as this. Completely original. It's had some paint, had a little bit of paint on the roof, had a bit of paint on the bonnet. There's a few things, you can see where bird lime's gone through and it's just done the lacquer. If you were being really picky, you might either wet flat this or correct this. If you're being super picky, if you wanted it to be concours, you'd paint the bonnet. But my word, what a thing. What a thing. I love it. I'm absolutely in love with it. Because it's a bit like a Civic Coupe, very similar design, but you've got so much more room. Accord Coupes are incredibly rare, automatic, like I say, 39,000 miles, full dealer history. 23 stamps, 2.5 to 3.5 grand. Insane, insane. Could be the bargain of the sale. I'm gonna have a little bit on that because I think that's lovely. Another MGB. We always have one in the sale. They are, I think they're one of the most beautiful classics MGB. They're, again, hugely underrated just because they're so prevalent. You'll always find them for sale. But we talk about cars like this. You know, cars like this are great because no one's got one. It's all very well until you need to buy a window glass. Then it all becomes a bit harder. Cars like this, whatever you need, you can get. And you can get it immediately. A 73 Roadster had a comprehensive restoration 20 years ago. And again, I love cars that have sat in an old restoration. If you're looking at a car that was restored 20 years ago and it still looks fresh, you know, the paint's not bubbled and the seams are still nice, that was clearly a good restoration. It's done 35,000 miles, it's got the overdrive, it's got a British Motor Heritage, say that again, British Motor Industry Heritage Trust Certificate, and 20 years ago, £7,300 was spent in parts alone, which is about 12 grand today, isn't it? And had a full rebuilt engine then as well. So this was all done 20 years ago. But like I said, I would rather buy a car that's sat in an old restoration than a fresh one. With a fresh one, you've got no idea what's under the paint. If this hasn't come through in 20 years, it's probably not going to. That's a great little car. £9,000 to £11,000, that cheap way to get a lovely little Roadster. Now, right, another Maserati. We do love these. 2003 Maserati 4200 Spider Cambio Corsa. Look at this. What a thing. We've just washed this. It's got the later lights, this one being a 2003, so 19,500 miles. It is, of course, automatic. Really nice colour combination. I would call this old money colour combination, this. So you've got your burgundy. Again, Elliot, have a look inside this beautiful, pristine leather, this. Because don't forget, when you're buying one of these Spiders, you're buying basically, there's a lot of Ferrari at this point. There's a huge amount of crossover. This is an inexpensive ticket into Ferrari-esque ownership and engineering. Really very lovely thing. Best colour, amazing service history, just had a set of P0s on it as well. Comes with a tailored car cover. This is clearly a car from a very cherished collection. Despite the mileage, despite the low mileage, estimated at 18 to 22. So if you're looking for a beautiful summer cruiser, got a little bit more to spend, you want something that reflects your great taste and standing, this is a lovely way to do it. And again, you don't see a huge amount of those. They're not a hugely common car, but they are very cool. Right. Did you have an Action Man when you were little? Or did you want to? If you did, if you like all things kind of army and military, this is a bit of you. This is a 1998 Land Rover Wolf 90-300 TDI Remus. So this is almost like the full military spec, isn't it? It just looks like you're going to war. And what's it got? So it's full MOD spec, unbelievable condition, really, really very nice. Like, it needs nothing, this, absolutely nothing. It's got the 300 TDI engine, it's got power steering. It is an ex-MOD car, respect for them. It's clearly had a very easy time of it. Just been wax injected, it's just had discs front and rear. It's got the NATO hitch, and it's got the V5 ready to go. I think if you want one, you want that one. But this one, despite that provenance, isn't an expensive car. We've estimated this at 14 to 16. I've seen these ex-MOD, 25, 26, so could be a bargain. A lot of really well-priced cars in this sale. And we're going this way. Now, this is cool. Come look at this. You know what I love to give you on these Manor Park videos? I like to give you stuff you can't find anywhere else. I like you to come here and buy vehicles that aren't for sale anywhere else in the UK, possibly in Europe. I'm going to make a small guarantee for you now. You won't find this next vehicle anywhere for sale in this condition. So come with me. Now, do you remember when these were absolutely everywhere? Do you remember? Mercedes 208D T1 panel van. And look at it. These all were bought because everybody knew the Merc could take the hammer. So what everybody did was bought them and hammered them. They all had really hard lives, except for this one. What happened to this one? I want to know the backstory because it has done 90,000 miles, which is actually very low for a van. But if you look, it is flipping immaculate. If you are a Mercedes commercial dealer and you want to buy something to stick on the forecourt to say how good your trucks and vans are, may I recommend this, because this has one former keeper, the original spec, it's got the 5-speed manual. The panels are so straight, it's ridiculous, like laser straight. Have a look down the side. It drove here to the sale room. There are 130 of these left in the UK, guys, 130. It's got the original dealer plates, original book packs, 2 sets of keys. So what could you do with this? Like I say, if you're a Merc commercial dealer, this is a no-brainer, get bidding. If you have, you know, like a mid-90s race car, if you're into like competition motorsport, or if you've got like a bike, this is the thing, this is your paddock support vehicle. Imagine this all stickered up with your sponsor's logo, towing your race car behind. Because don't forget, it is still a very usable van. You could use this and run this every day, much cooler than a modern Transit. Don't lease a modern van, have this. And the thing about these old 208s is they're huge. Massive amount of room in the back. It's estimated at 14 to 16. I defy you to find from the other 108 that's left one in this condition. I don't think you will. One of the coolest things I've ever seen. I think one of the coolest things we've ever sold. Love these. All the time in the world for these. A little 190e 1.8, so poverty spec, but that makes it all the better because you get these lovely trims. So 118,000 miles, which for one of these, as you know, is literally the running in mileage. Also, of course, it's been with the current owner for 12 years. It's got the sunroof, it's got the lovely trim, look, the fabric trim. It's just really nice. Continental tyres, someone spent some money. Driven here, loads of invoices, loads of MOTs. Not a complete service history, but the car is from 1990. The car is considerably old now, it's 30 odd years old. But it's really, really clean. Paint's really nice. The odd stone chip as you'd expect from a car from 1990. But level, straight. We talk about practical classics. We talk about cars that are easy to live with and easy to use. And if you're not having a classic car before and you don't know how to get into the hobby, this is another great example. This is a later, more usable car. If you're looking for something that you could have as your only classic car, very much this. Come doomsday, when it's all just rubble and cockroaches and these, basically. Great car, 2.5 to 3.5 grand. Doesn't have to break the bank. I think that's going to be a lovely way for somebody to travel around. And again, these are what they call young timers. The Germans call these young timers, this era of classic. Relatively affordable. Get in now before they get too expensive. When they become old timers, then the price goes up. Another great Land Rovers, we seem to be the Northwest's auction house for all great Land Rovers, and this is no exception. 1979, 88 Series 3, this one. Really nice condition, another private collection car. 16,000 miles? It looks like it too as well. That's ridiculously low. Yeah, fabulous interior. Have a look at this, Al, look. It's got door locks, which hardly any old Land Rovers have, because a lot of the farmers didn't bother. It's a really nice interior. 16,000 miles. It is, of course, MOT exempt, being a 79. Recent restoration and carburettor refresh. It is an ex-military, this one. Presents and drives very well. It's got the petrol, not the diesel engine. It's got really nice tilt and bows on this as well. Loads of bills, loads of receipts. What a nice thing. But not expensive. 7.5 to 9.5 grand. Fancy yourself as a bit of a works rally driver in the late 50s. This would be your dream. This is my dad's dream, I know that much. This is a 57 Austin Healey 100/6, this one. It's got a recently done balanced 3000cc engine, a Dennis Welsh cylinder head, and an overdrive gearbox. If you're looking for one that really does go as well as it looks, I think we just found it. It's got an odometer reading of 4,750, so I'd imagine that's either reset at rebuild or it's gone round. Fast road cam and fully balanced, so a lot of money's been spent on the engine. Really built to a very nice standard. The paint is pristine, the interior is pristine on this. It's got the removable side screens. It's got the hardtop as well, motor liter wheel. It's got electronic ignition. It's got brand new Widersteins on it. Just ready to go. It's got this lovely competition roof with the air vent on as well. I think that's so cool. It's got the lovely tank in the back. Someone has spent a fortune on this car, which means you don't have to. We've estimated this at 40 to 50,000. If you know your Healey prices, you know that's going to be very competitive. And it's a no questions car. Just jump in, enjoy. Great for classic rallying, just great for hooning around in the summer. Roof on or roof off, up to you. But what a pretty thing. This is nice. Fuzz would love this, wouldn't he? If Fuzz was here today, he would be into the 1933 Wolseley Hornet. Very, very pretty little pre-war car, this. Great condition, and just jump in and enjoy. The nice thing about this, it needs nothing. She's ready to go. She's everything exempt, MOT, tax exempt, ULEZ exempt, drive it where you like. It's done 750 miles on the odometer, which I guess is probably following a restoration. It's had a complete restoration, in fact. Brand new Blockley tyres on it, the original Buff logbook, and a comprehensive history file that goes all the way back to 78. And look at the detailing here, you can see, look at all these beautiful bits. You've got your ply there, your polished louvered sides, the paint is very nice, the chrome is very nice. So these are not cheap motor cars, these Wolseleys. They are very sought after in pre-war circles. This one's estimated at 25 to 30,000. I would say that roof's been on a good while. It's lovely patina on that roof. Very, very thick canvas roof on that. But that is lovely. What a smashing thing that is. So if you want a 1933 Wolseley Hornet, I would say that's one of the nicest ones I've seen. But this is cool. We're back to the fixer-upper. I like raw projects. You know what you're getting with a raw project? Stack headlight bends. Is there anything cooler? So 75 Benz, a 234 saloon. So no reserve car, this one. Let's not lie, there's some work to do. There's quite a lot of work to do. You can see it's solid though. Panels are very good. Around the screen, look where they go. It's very good. It's nice to have the screen out actually, because normally that hides a multitude of sins. And here you can see there's not a lot to do. You're going to need to run around. Factory roof as well. That's very cool. So it's all there, guys. This is a Mercedes kit. If you built an Airfix or a Tamiya when you were a kid, this is the larger version. So there's a sill in there which suggests to me that it's going to need some sills putting on it. I believe it has all the glass. Yeah, the glass is with it. It's got a new boot lid on. So if you own a body shop and you want a stack headlight Benz for not a lot of cash, with what looks like very good bones, a sill to put on, all of the glass, and a bit of tiny little bit of welding, it is super solid actually, I have to say. Surprisingly so. Chrome's good on these as well, because that's what you have to watch, because that's very expensive. Original trims, it's straight on the side, and it does sit well. That has the basis of a good project, and with no reserve, if you are any good at all with paint and body, there is some money to be made and some fun to be had. This is a great little project, and it's all there in the back for you to fit it up. Do you like T-cut? If so, if you enjoy restoring faded red paint, if you're a detailer, this is your before and after car. This is your dream, isn't it? There's always a test you can do with our red paint. If you wet your finger and do that, look. That's how it's going to come up. You spend a Sunday polishing this. So if you want to polish in £1,000, may I present to you the 1987 944S 16 valve. This is a bit trick, this one. 109,000 miles. It's a manual. What we can say about this is it runs, drives and stops. That's about what we can say about it. Has got the roof, which is very cool. 15 stamps in the book. It's got the tele-die wheels. It had, this is the mad thing about this car, between 2014 and 2017, somebody spent £4,800 on the car, including new floors, new sills, new cam belt, new clutch, and then clearly just parked it up. Go figure, something happened. But the result of that, my friends, is you have a car with very good bones and a very nice interior, 16 valve, 944. Now the top of these, this could easily be a 12, 13, 14 grand car, if you're prepared to do some polishing and some servicing and some recommissioning. The estimate on this car is £2,500 to £3,500. And a bit of T-cut. It's going to need some paint, like the edges of the roof, look, if you look here. That's going to need painting. But most of this paint, you can see, look, you can see where it hasn't oxidised. Look what you're going to get. The original Guards Red is going to come up so beautifully. This has obviously sat outside and had a lot of UV fade, but you can see the fact it's just on the top and how much darker it is on the side. That's going to come up really, really quickly, I think. And I would say probably 80, 90% of that paint will go. It's only a few places you'll have to paint it. That could be a very, very cheap 944, that. Love it. Right, there's Vauxhall Tigre, which is here. But before we get to that, please excuse my complete lack of knowledge. It's on an L, so I'm guessing 73, Rover P6, 3.5 litre manual. I have absolutely no documents. This car has literally just arrived into the sale room this afternoon. What can I tell you? Another criminally undervalued car, these. They're very clever. They're like a Citroen DS. Everything's just bolt on. It's like a skeleton underneath, and everything just bolts on. So they're very simple and easy to look after. Very easy car to stay on top of. Very cool and clever, the Dion rear end on these. This is a 3.5 litre, so it will motor along, and with the manual, what a thing, and a Webasto roof. So I can't tell you anything about it yet because it's arrived 10 minutes ago. But if you're watching this video, check the website, check the listing. It's lovely. It's great on the bodywork. It's come from the same vendor as our lovely Granada in video 1. And if you come and have a look, Elliot, at the interior, it's a bit special. So these are all the original seats. Look, again, a little bit worn. You could probably do with just a small repair on that driver's seat bolster. Rear seats are lovely. If you've never wafted in a 3.5 litre Rover P6, they are something unique. They drive and ride so well, like a much, much younger car. So that's a 70s motor car, but they drive like something out of the 90s. They really do have amazing road manners. So I could recommend that. Apologies, I haven't got loads of information, but do check out the website. It'll be worth it, I promise you. Also, again, bear with me for the same reasons. This incredible Vauxhall Tigre 2000, once on every street corner, once in every office car park, now a relative rarity. This one has just arrived, 2 former keepers, 37,000 miles from new, and it looks almost like new, this one. £2,000 spent in the last 3 years, but an estimate of 2.5 to 3.5 grand. If you like really cool, unusual cars for the 90s, and everyone's saying the 90s is the next big growth era, has to be, doesn't it? 80s cars have become very expensive. 90s cars, those owners are becoming 25, 30 years old now. The people that wanted them when they were kids, they can now afford them, and Tigers are actually really cool. A lot of fun. It's just a Corsa underneath. It's very cheap and easy to look after. Great car, 2.5 to 3.5 grand. Another one, where is it? Where's my Ford Sierra? There it is. Excuse us, we're just fixing the place up. Now, if you're my age, if you're in your late 40s, nearly 50, there's no way you didn't want one of these. There was no way you used to watch Andy Rouse on a Sunday in British touring cars, hustling his van, thinking, I don't want one of those when I grow up. Thing about 3-door Cosworth, as you know, the market's gone stratospheric. Well, all fast Fords really, but the 3-door Cosworth remains kind of like the high watermark of all fast Fords. This one's really nice. It's a good car, this. If you look, lots of original features. It's got an aftermarket exhaust, which I really don't mind, but it does take a little bit off for the purists. Sunroof car. Got a lovely spec. Again, it's just in this one. We've estimated this at £50,000 to £55,000. If you know your Cosworth prices, you know that's like a third of what they can be. If this is an RS500 in this condition, it could be well over 100 grand. I've seen these up as high as 145, 150 for RS500s. So this represents a much more amenable way to get yourself into a 3-door Cosworth, this one. I think it's lovely. This is my dream. Little old me from back in the day would have wanted this as a kid back in 1987. How old would have I been then? 14? Watching Touring Car on a Sunday. I did actually go into the Ford showroom with my dad and have a look at one of these. He couldn't afford one, but I think for a lot of dads in the 80s, this was the dream. It was the dream. Could be your dream. And if you can't afford it, go and see your lads at Fast and Funded. They'll hook you up with that. Life's too short not to drive the car you want. Moving on. This is almost identical. You might have seen the other day at another well-known auction house, Freddie Mercury's Rolls-Royce went for an unbelievable sum. His Silver Shadow. This is a very similar looking car, this one. 79 Shadow 2. It's got 39,000 miles on the clock, which we do think is really, if you look around the car, come and have a look at this. This does look and feel and drive and smell and ride like a 39,000 mile car. So we drove it back from Wales and then to France to get to the sale room. So this is driven all over Europe to get here. So this is this is a car that you can use. This is a car you can jump in and drive. Recent MOT passed with not a single advisory. That's not usual on a Shadow. 10 stamps in the service book. It's got original James Young Mayfair registration plates, which is very nice. It's got the Lambswool over rugs. It's got loads of old MOTs, owned by a Member of Parliament, no less, Bill Price. And his partner, a former Miss Australia. So you've had Miss Australia has sat in the back of this. So if that's a bit of you, do bid. And it's got the correct Avons on as well, which I love. I know I keep saying this about loads of cars, but these are just not worth a huge amount of money. But look at the flash you get. It's good enough for Miss Australia. You could buy this car for somewhere between £6,500 and £7,500. Freddie Mercury's went for about £250,000, I think. So obviously his was for charity and it was Freddie Mercury's, but 6.5 grand? 7.5 grand? I'd have a bit of that. Or another beautiful Maserati, another coupe Cambio Corsa. I do love these. Like I said, they're like little fezzes, aren't they? Little Ferraris. 2004, this one. It's done 79,000 miles. So it's going to be good value for money. What can I tell you? It's got the F1 gearbox. It's got the Ferrari F1 gearbox with a little shifter in the middle, like a semi-auto. Loads of service history, high factory spec. 2004 car with 79,000 miles on it. Fabulous colour, this. Like this gunmetal grey with the red leather. Have a look at that, Elliot. And criminally cheap. It's the later light version. It's had the same owner for 10 years. Loads of stamps in the book. 6.5 to 7.5 grand. What can you buy for 7.5 grand? Not a lot. You could be smoking around in a Maserati. Gearbox isn't everyone's cup of tea, the F1 gearbox, but I really like it. I think it suits this car. This car is more of a wafter. You know, you don't buy this car to drive absolutely flat out everywhere. You drive this car to cruise in style and comfort. And that's the gearbox to do that. 6.5 to 7.5. Really nice way to travel. This is pleasant. Lovely car, this one. So very low mileage, 1999, BMW 318 convertible. The first thing you've noticed is, of course, this very rare, very desirable factory hardtop. You don't often see that at all, and certainly not in this condition. The car has come from a private collection, and it's really, really nice. I'm just looking around the paint now. It's good. E36 is a very good news anyway, I think, because the E30 prices have gone so silly. These have to follow. It's got the standard cloth interior, factory hardtop. Just a lovely thing. There's some pictures of it on the website if you want to have a look at it with the roof down. The hood is also in very good condition. We have checked that. And it drives just like a 37,000 mile, fully serviced 318. How you'd imagine it to, really. It's just a really nice thing. Not the most exciting spec, but my word, the condition. If you just want a nice car, maybe just for a bit of summer fun at your holiday home or just something to cruise around in, if you're looking for your first classic that won't break the bank, that you can have a bit of secure fun with, because you could leave this in your road with the hardtop on, they're not going to damage your roof. £4,000 to £5,000 that car will be. 318 is just bomb-proof. Not the fastest, but just really nice little car to drive and lots of fun. Right, Porsches, we love them, you love them. We've got them for sale in the next auction. This one is a 2000 911 996 Carrera 2. It's the Gen 1 996, the 3.4, and it's a manual. So I think this one is saying to me, potential investment car. Look at the ingredients. Manual, it's the right colour, very much the right colour. It's the 3.4. It's done 109,000 miles with a really good history, 14 stamps in the book. The thing you have to watch on these is the IMS bearing upgrade. Always check that's been done. This car has had it done. It's also had a clutch in 2016, 6,000 miles ago. It's got aluminium gear shift and handbrake, rear wiper, 3-spoke wheel, the premium sound system, the top tint windscreen, the onboard computer, CD prep, and it's got the ruffled black leather, which I do love. Have a look at that, El. And it's got GT3 wheels on as well, actually. So you go, if you can't afford a GT3, and many of us can't, this will give you manual Porsche experience with the 3.4, with some really nice factory options in the most desirable colour, the German national racing colour. And what if I said to you, you could be driving that for £14,000 to £18,000? I think you'd have to agree, that's a great car. 997 price is huge. 996 prices, again, have to go up. They're just almost too cheap compared to the 997s, and they're very, very cheap compared to the 993. So they're sort of sitting in this weird wilderness at the moment, which cannot last. Because obviously there's only so many nice cars, and the expensive cars will drag those prices up. That could be a lot of fun. If you could buy that for a lower estimate, you would be winning, my friends. And now, another lovely E46. This is nice, isn't it? 2000 BMW 330 CE. Again, a really great way of buying a lovely coupe without having to go to the expense of an M3. This one's done 92,000 miles. It's the automatic. Big spec, good history with this. Drives and presents very well. It's automatic. Factory roof as well, which is very cool. It's got the M bits on it, like the M side steps. But E46 coupes, again, cheap car. Really, really nice in silver. Beautiful paintwork on this one, actually. History's good, but not fully complete. This car presents super well. Even the headlights are nice. They've been restored, looking at that. This car is only going to be estimated between £3,000 and £4,000. So think about what an M3 would be. 330 is not that much slower. Automatic's a really nice wafter. And again, we keep talking about these usable, practical classics, the neo classics, the stuff from the late 90s, early noughties, which you can get classic car insurance on, but also you can use them every day. So if you're trying to buy a car that's actually usable and practical, if you buy a classic that you sit and never use, it's no good. But something like this, every day, maybe keep it out the salt, but apart from that, just drive the wheels off it. Isn't this pretty? What a great colour. 1971 Jaguar XK8 2.8, so the smaller engine, but still just as lovely, but it's only done 31,000 miles. Original spec, manual with overdrive, which is very unusual, full book pack and 2 keys, stamped up book till 2016 and all the invoices afterwards. Got the original sales brochure, it's had new fuel tanks in it, another car that just had an MOT test prior to the sale, not a single advisory. And because it's the smaller engine, I personally love the colour, absolutely love the colour, and the interior is delightful, no headrest, which I think makes it look much cleaner. So if you look when you have a no headrest car like this, it just looks cleaner when you look through the windows, particularly with the clear glass. We've estimated that at £9,000 to £11,000. I can't think of a nicer way to travel for that money. Twin tanks, look. It looks like it's had new seat belts on as well. Isn't that a cool looking thing? Oh, the smell. It smells like shoe shops. That's what it smells like. And that door's shut as well, look at that. What a nice car. What a lovely car. And that could be, again, relatively inexpensive because of the smaller engine. I'm feeling that a lot. It's a very pretty thing. Now we have got a few big engine, big character Mercs in this sale. This is nice. So our Jim, who has a considerable history with big, expensive German cars, says of this 1990 Mercedes 420 SEC, this is the best one he's ever driven. What can I tell you? All completely original. Again, kind of a really smart money car. These have started to go up already. We've missed the bottom of the curve on these when they were 4 or 5 grand. These are now 5-figure cars if they're nice. This one's done 116,000 miles. Original spec, factory roofs, got Dunlop tyres on, 14 stamps in the book. It's been with the current owner since 2003, and I love that. It's always a good sign. If someone's had a car for nearly 20 years, it must be quite decent. Had a restoration in 2020 to the sum of £14,000 and was driven here some 225 miles. Only 73 of these left on the road. We've got original book pack, sales brochure, and 2 sets of keys, and all the MOTs going back to 1997. So someone spent 14 grand on it not very long ago. The estimate is 11 to 13. You do the maths. You couldn't buy and restore this car for the money you could buy it for. Just utterly wonderful. This is Mercedes at their zenith when they were building cars that were just bomb-proof. The engineering, the styling, everything about these cars, and also with the Mercedes new classic division, the heritage division, you are starting to be able to get a lot more parts with these cars than you could before. So they don't need to be a scary proposition of ownership. You can really do a lot of good stuff with these. So that's a good one. 11 to 13, I say, with 14K's worth of resto bills. Bit of a no-brainer. If you want one, you want that one. And as Jim says, it's the best one he's ever driven. Now another GT. So this is the earlier car. If you come around the back, the one that everybody wants, if you're going to buy one of these Mazdas, is the boomerang lights, the banana lights, call them what you will. This being the early car, I think they're a little bit more desirable. If you look at the Cambio Corsa over there, that's the later light. This is the early light. If we're going to go all nerdy and car collectory, I think, fast forward to when these become the thing, the one that everybody wants, is these. This one's great, 31,000 miles, and it's a manual. Last service at 27,000 miles, but it's got a really good history, this. It's got the Maserati dashboard clock, it's got Michelin tyres, and it's just epic, isn't it? Isn't that lovely? Great colour, great spec, early car, manual gearbox, silver with black leather, which is in lovely condition. I'll let Elliot have a look inside. And I always talk about these, I am like a stuck record, like they are an affordable Ferrari alternative, because you're getting a lot of the same heritage, a lot of the same engineering gets carried over, but they're just not Ferrari money. This car could be somewhere between 11 and 13,000 pounds, and for that you're getting Italian heritage, manual gearbox, all this beautiful leather, banana lights, boomerang lights, call them what you will, but what a thing. And this model even gets the sexy bonnet vents as well. So there you go, my friends. You can't buy or bid on any of these cars if you haven't registered, and the way you do that is to go to manorparkclassics.com, get yourself registered, come and have a look. We've got a whole week of viewing starting towards the end of the week. We've got 4 viewing days. You can come down, have a look in the cars if you want. If we go early enough, we can put them up in the air for you. We've got book packs, we've got undercar videos, we've got oodles of photographs, and where they are road legal, our staff have driven every single car. So if you want to talk to someone who's driven the car, ask them what it's like. We're only too happy to help. But do come and see us on the 7th, do register to bid online, do follow us on social, and I'll see you on sale day.